Hi, I'm Mandeep Singh, founder of mandeeps.com, and in this multi-part video series, we will be working with a live visualizer module to create a recipe app. So let's get started. I am here on a site called allrecipes.com, and I was basically just browsing through their site. And the goal here is to try to see if we can basically build a site similar to allrecipes.com with live visualizer. So if I come to the site, I see that they got thousands and thousands of recipes, and they're categorized by meal type. I can choose specific ingredients and look up categories, or through diet and health, or by the cuisine and so forth. So let's see if something like that we can do with a live visualizer. Alright, so I'm going to head back over to our default DNN site, in which I already have live visualizer installed and added to the page. I'm going to go back to the manage, and what we're going to do is go to structures and create a new structure for our recipe. So let's get started. I'm going to call this recipes. Alright, and I'll hit add, and this is where we get to configure the permission. So who do we want our recipes to be visible to? If this is a public site, I would just keep it all users can see the recipe, but then you may have a subscription-based site in which you want your recipes to be only visible to the people who've paid for a subscription. So in that case, you can hit add permission, choose the appropriate security role, which you're going to add the users to who've paid for the subscription, and then give them access to view. On the other hand, you may also want everybody to be able to contribute to the recipe. So you could hit add, update, and delete for a specific role who you want to give access to so they can contribute. Now, we have the option here called only allow the owner to update or delete content. This is extremely important for a site like Classifieds or eBay, or for this one, because you don't want anybody to be able to update somebody else's recipe. So if you toggle this to yes, which we will do now, only those who have created their own recipes can manage them. Alright, so now that we got permissions out of the way, let's go ahead and click add next, and we're going to go ahead and design our recipe, the content, the structure type here. So at the bare minimum, I'm just going to go ahead and drag a heading and call it recipe. We are going to need a name for the recipe. Let's just call it the recipe name. And we are going to need, I'm going to grab an HTML editor here, because we are going to need, let's say, the directions or the recipe itself. Let's grab another HTML editor and put right on the top, and let's call this one maybe a list of ingredients. Okay. Now we already got so much going on this page, so what I'm going to do is grab a page break, which creates a multi-page form for us. So on the next page, we can ask for other information. For example, I would probably want to know, let's say, I can grab a number field, and I can ask how many calories does this have per serving. Now I can also do multi-column, so I'll go ahead and grab another number field and add it here, and we'll say how many servings are we gonna have, and it kind of doesn't make sense. The serving should be on the left versus here, so let's go ahead and do that. Let me bring this here, let's take this guy there, and oops, that's more like it. Let's bring this guy back in here. Alright, servings, calories per servings, and what else? Yeah, maybe the time it's gonna take. So let's go back here and click on one of the recipes and see what else we need. Yeah, the time is gonna take to prepare, the prep time, servings and calories we got a list for ingredients and directions. So that's pretty good. So let's get also time. I'm gonna grab a time field here, and we don't necessarily need the AM PM, so let's get rid of that. Let's go ahead and call this prep time. right. What else do we need? So quite importantly, we need the categorization. We need to know if this what cuisine this recipe is in, and if it's you know, what individual ingredients they are in, and so forth. So let's just create maybe 2 of these. Let's create a meal type and cuisine and ingredient list. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a checkbox list right here. Let's call this the meal type, and we're gonna go to options and say, is this breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Let's just maybe call it snack. Alright, so that's that. And again, I can have it go here, so I can grab another checkbox and put it there. Let's just call this cuisine. If I can spell right, there we go. And let's go to options, and we can say, is this let's highlight this. Is this American, Chinese, Italian, Mexican? That should be plenty for now. All right. What else? Is there anything else we're missing? Oh yes. So we also wanted a ingredient, and now I don't have to have this in. I can also do this in like 3 column. So instead of having, I can add another checkbox list here, call it ingredients. So bottom line is you can create your form the way you like, total freedom. And let's say I want to be able to filter by if this is a chicken based ingredients, beef based, or you know, does it have mushrooms in it, or I don't know, is this tofu based, and so forth. And you get the point. You can create the list as you like. So a couple of things we want to do is we want to make sure that some of these things are required. Actually, I need to have a recipe name. I need to have an ingredients list. I need to have a recipe directions. And let's just make everything required here. And it's just that easy. And you can format and put validations on just by some clicks, and you're all done. All right, so now what I've done is actually created a structure, and whenever I'm happy with it, I can just close this window, and there I see my new structure. And for the title field, I'm going to call it the name, and for the description field, let's say maybe I just want to call it the cuisine, or what kind of cuisine it is. But I can choose ingredients, but ingredients not really helpful for me to figure out what it's about. So let's go to content library. I'm going to click on add a new recipe, and this is what my form looks like. There's the name, there's the ingredients list, there's the recipe, and if hit next, you can see the validation is in place. So let's say let's call this chicken tacos. So one of the things I see is I'm missing the toolbar here. We'll go see why they didn't show up in a sec. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Maybe a little bug there, but if I go back to the structure and go back to the designer, there's the designer. I'm gonna go ahead and click on options here, and it is set to minimal. I'm gonna hit apply, do the same thing here, hit apply, and come back and see if that made any difference. There we go, there's our toolbars. So I'm saying I need the minimal toolbars here, not something crazy, but you have the option to give them full access to this. One of the things we really didn't add to our structure, which we really should, is some images, because a recipe without images is not fun. So one of the things I'm also demonstrating here is you could go ahead and change your structure at any point. It's not set in stone. If you decide to add another criteria down the line, you could always do that. So let me go ahead and grab assets, and let's drop it here. We're just going to call it pictures, and I'm just going to go ahead and create another page break. So things looks super clean. I got name and pictures to begin with, and then we're asking rest of the information. Now here I'm gonna allow upload, so anybody who's adding pictures can upload their own. So that's super handy. So let's go ahead and close that out now, and then go back to content library, add a recipe, and there you go. We see a name and the ability to add picture. All right, so this is it for how to create your content structures. If you ever want to go back and modify the permissions, you can go back to the structures tab, and there's the permissions, and you get back to your permissions and you can modify it right here. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we will actually start adding content and start adding some recipes.